Today, we're joined by Sahara Ali, co-founder of Black Muslims Now, a powerful platform dedicated to uplifting and amplifying the voices, histories, and lived experience of Black Muslims around the world. Through storytelling, community engagement, and advocacy, Black Muslim Now works to challenge stereotypes, preserve heritage, and inspire unity across the Ummah. We'll be diving into her journey, the mission of the platform, and the future of Black Muslims representation. Welcome, my sister, Sahara. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. How are you?
I'm doing well, alhamdulillah. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah.
That's good. Yeah, so I want to just dive right into it because the platform I came across was something that I found to be interesting, especially amongst Black Americans, Black American Muslims having this type of platform. Because growing up in the 80s and the 90s, or for some of us the 70s, or you know, Black Muslims were the representation of Al-Islam in the Americas, or in the United States of America. And I grew up in New York and Harlem at the Masjid Malcolm Shabazz. And I also grew up in Masjid Muhammad in Bermuda, where my father is from. And the representation of Muslims even there were black people. And this pretty much, we come from the background of the Nation of Islam and via WD Muhammad. That's pretty much the community that I came from. So when I met you guys, it was something that I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And at first I saw you online before I even got a chance to meet you. And I was just in admiration of what you guys doing, like as far as the community work and everything, and Black Muslims Now, and just that yellow and black, color, something that always stick out because I'm a Wu-Tang fan, sort of black and yellow and all that, you know. Um, but
Yeah.
you're from Philadelphia
Yes, originally, yes.
originally, and I remember years ago I went to, it's like I think it was a festival. I think this was back in 2004 or five. I think it was an Africa One or something like that festival they had in Philly. And I've been there years ago as a kid, but you're not really aware of your surroundings like that. But going back as an adult, I was surprised at the amount of Muslims, especially Black Muslims in Philly. And that was surprising. And then fast forwarding now, meeting a Muslim sister from Philly who's doing big works in the city where I'm from and outside of New York, I find it amazing. So going into like more of your background and inspiration, can you tell us about your personal journey and what inspired you to co-found Black Muslims Now?
Hmm. Uh, well, I do come from the same pathway that you come from. And I grew up in a large family in a very kind of close-knit Islamic community in Philadelphia. And there's, for me, there's just this sweet, from when I was young, like when I was very young, and just witnessing what that community was like, because at that time it had this sweet flavor to it, where everybody was still together. There were all these families. My parents had all their friends were Muslim. They would have gatherings at each other's homes. We all children were friends together. It was just it felt like, even though I went to secular school, I was like, so what? Like, I'm in this world. Like, I'm Muslim. And I was like so proud, and I felt so favored because I was a part of this group. I felt like I knew something that other people didn't, and I was very proud, about that. And so somewhere along the line, I don't know when, I can't name the point, that sort of transition. In the same way that you're mentioning how things transition from who represents Islam in America, it's sort of all changed. Like that feeling changed. It wasn't there anymore. My parents' friends weren't as close as they used to be, or at least the families weren't. Maybe my parents were still friends with their friends, but the kids weren't friends together anymore. It was like everybody was in their own world. People were marrying people outside of Islam, all kind of things were going on. It just melted away. Like this sweet memory I have of this time, it sort of melted away, but I still hold that every time I go to Philly. My mom is one of the founders of Masjid Allah in Philadelphia. So when I go there, it's like I'm going home, and I kind of get around those elders, and I have that feeling around them. But for instance, I went there one time recently, and I saw some of the children of the families that I never see them. And they just happened to be there, people from wherever they moved to. Because, back then people stayed where they lived. So everybody was from Philly. They grew up there. They're going to probably pass away there. Like that's where they live. So with us, people started leaving, going to college, going here, doing all that. It just changed everything. So some of those people were home, and it's like, oh, wow, I haven't seen you since forever. And I felt like we were like all looking around each other. Some of the men and some of the women like kind of like, I wonder why we didn't ever marry amongst ourselves. Like everybody is like divorced, having married somebody that was not Muslim, and all these things. Everybody had all these problems. It's kind of like, we're just looking like, wouldn't this have made sense? But it's all too late now. But it just feels like this is weird. Like this, you got there and you just felt that comfortable feeling. So I have this place in my heart for that memory, and sort of always wanted to live that in my own life as an adult. And I think that really is a part of what happened for me. Like why I was like, when this idea came up, it wasn't my idea. It was another person's idea. We were in a group chat that's for Muslims in New York City and Black Muslims in New York City. And it was during COVID. And one of the sisters in the group said, hey, why don't we do something around this kind of issue, like something just for Black Muslims? We didn't know what it was going to be and who would be interested. And I was like, I'm interested. And it was 16 of us like that said they were interested in the beginning. I mean, obviously that didn't all stay at 16, but originally there were 16 people. And we all felt like we wanted to do something. We didn't know what it was. And I think for me at that time, it was COVID at the time. And it was 2020, and there was the Black Lives Matter movement was going on, and we were all online with everything. And some of the things that I had noticed, one was I remember specifically being in I don't even know what the conversation was about, but it was some Muslim Zoom about something. And they started talking about the statistics of the Muslims in New York. And they said, well, the majority of them are in tech or medicine. And I was like, like, who are you counting in this majority that you're like, I just knew we were not in the count. So I was like, okay, we're not in the count at all. Like, this is not, we're just excluded from this conversation. And then during the Black Lives Matter movement, there were certain march. I remember there was at Barclays Center, there was a rally or something, march rally. And it was the only one that I went to during that time. And I went there, and they had Juma prayer, and there was some conversation afterwards where a lot of Black Muslims were talking about some of the experiences that they were having. And I remember one brother was saying how he was in another city and he didn't know where to go for Juma, but he found a masjid. He went there, and he was literally told, like, this masjid is not for you. Place. So those are like the two things that just stuck in my brain, like that kind of motivated me toward like something is really like, what is happening here? And then also doing one third thing is that at that rally, it was a brother who was giving the khutbah, but when the rally started, a group of Arab activists came in. And then they were like, all the Black people stand in the front. Like, they started like lining us up, like to be like, we're doing this thing. We care about Black Muslims, but there's not really like, it felt performative to me. And I felt like, I don't want to, something's wrong here. Like, we got to do something. Like, it's like these are the Muslims, but we're the Muslims, but let's get a few of the Blacks up front. Like, they literally were saying it like that. So I was like, yeah, this is not comfortable for me. Like, I got to figure out a way to change this. So as we formed, we started, that was the first thing that we talked about, was like exactly what you mentioned at the top, which is that, we are the face of Islam in America. We are the ones who, fought to create a free expression of Islam in America so that everybody else could do it. And we are the ones with those battle scars, our parents and our forefathers. And so we were like, we got to bring that visibility back. So that was our first call to action that we came up with as a group. Like when we were saying, what do we want to do? It was like, we need to change things about the visibility of Black Muslims. And how do we do that? We got to unify. Like there's no way that we can create visibility if we still are so divided. So that was the two biggest pieces of our mission that we wanted to do. So that was the start. And that was sort of, I guess, the heart of it, or where it comes from for me.
So how has your own identity shaped the way you approach your work?
I think going back to what I just said earlier, I'm a family-oriented person. And when I say I come from a family of 6 children, so I had a big family, and we had a big community. Philadelphia is very prominent in the historical legacy of Islam for Black Muslims in America. And so a lot happened there. Muhammad Ali had came to my house several times because he lived in there. And so everybody just kind of was part of something. Like I felt like I wasn't born when Malcolm X was alive, but I felt like he was part of my family. Like just from the stories that I heard and the people that knew him that were around talking about things all the time, I just felt like that was, so that feeling, that history coming from something like that, I want that so much for us. My father, may Allah give him Jannah, when he passed away, after the janaza, we came back to the house. And it was just like, I don't know where these people came from. It was like everything was together, they had food flowing. Like we didn't do anything from the beginning to the end, like it was just done. And those are my parents' friends that did that. But I know that's not going to happen the way things are now when I pass or when you pass. Like that's not going to happen. And it was just so amazing to me that it's just without question. When my grandmother passed, same thing. It's like, oh, you my friend, my sister, your mother died? We got it. Like the community just came in. We don't have that. Like there's no space like that that would create that for us. So that's that family love environment, the home that I lived in growing up. Like it actually, the actual house, it's a huge house. In an area where probably Black people didn't live before my parents got that house. But a sister who was in the nation had the house. And she actually, her family was well off, like, and so they moved for a lot of reasons. They wanted to move, so they left the house and they said, well, we'll donate it to the fruit. Like, we're going to give it to them. So and all they have to do is like pay for some taxes or something like that. Okay. So they took the house. Apparently they destroyed the house. They just really didn't pay what they needed to pay, and the house became a disaster, and it was just almost unlivable. This sister came into contact with my mom. They started to become friends. She realized that my parents were like just starting out. And she was like, hey, I have this house. I want to give you guys this house for like little or nothing. It was like, I can't remember the exact number, but I want to feel like it's something like $3,000, something crazy. Like, this is a 7-bedroom house. Okay. So it's like, she gave them this house. The house was a disaster. She was like, I don't know. And they were like, well, it wasn't even habitable. So we lived like on the 3rd floor of this house for a while till they fixed up the rest of the house. But that house sort of like became a symbol for a lot of things, like for our family, who even the ones that weren't Muslim, like, because both of my parents, they come from some hard backgrounds, both of them, So for them to just be in this house, just the house, is like something to do. Like it was an achievement. And then they made it beautiful. Like they they worked on it and worked on it until it became a beautiful, beautiful home, like the whole thing. We moved off the third floor and we lived in the whole house, and it was beautiful. And they had their 6 children there. And it became like a symbol for our family members. Like people, I see, you know, they both have like broken families. So like just people that I didn't know that well as part of my family and stuff like that. And they'll be like, yeah, but we always admired you. You guys lived in that house and we had the 2 parents together. And wow, like it was just like, you know, they stayed together. My parents like were together until my father passed. So for it meant something to people. And my parents, from the background they came from too, in that house, like so many people's children, like, oh, somebody had a problem in their home life, they didn't have a place to go. They lived there with us for a while. Like so many people passed through there. Somebody's got in trouble with the law, they need a place to go. They were living in our house, you know. Like it was you know, somebody got locked up, you know, their family needs some shelter for a while. They were living there, you know. Or I definitely heard like, well, somebody got locked up, so we got to take care of the family while the person's doing their time. So I understand like all that stuff. And for me, like that to me is beautiful. For me, that's beautiful. I don't know what anybody else thinks. Like, but for me, that's beautiful. So I want an environment like that. I want a world where that could be like all of us, not just the bubble of my house. You know, like,
Yeah.
so that's where I came from, and that's what I want to see for all of us. I want all of us to not worry when someone passes that we love, because it's just like we have this community that comes. It just makes everything all right. When it's like I have something and I can make, and I have more than I need, and I can make somebody's life easy. That sister started my parents' life off. Like she's such a blessing, you know, for them and for us. Like so, with a lot of man, God bless her and give her Jenna and me. So I do answer your question.
No, that's beautiful because I can see I can see your appreciation of the blessing in the struggle, you know, and I'm listening to you and it's kind of like my life as well, coming from a big family. I mean, all together, it's 13 of us.
Oh wow!
Be-
So we don't got
between
nothing on y'all.
Yeah, you know, but like, you know, 'cause my mom and my dad, they separated, but they remarried and they had children in the other marriages. But
Oh,
between
married
mom,
other marriages. Oh, okay.
yeah, so
And then
they have,
I was about to
yeah,
say.
they have 5 though, you know, and my mom later had 3, and my dad had another 5, and you know, so yeah, a full house, having family members come over and live with us for like periods of times, having friends of the family or friends of my sisters who they needed a place to stay, live with us after school. Everybody would congregate to our home. So it's like, you know, that same type of vibe. So it's kind of like I'm enjoying everything you're saying because it's a trip down memory lane. And I'm like, subhanAllah. So what you're saying, my mind is going there. And I'm like, okay, this is something that is cool. This is a story that we need to hear. Like you talk about incarceration, and here we're Muslims, and a lot of the times we have an image of what is a Muslim and what is the, you know, the lifestyle of a Muslim. But a lot of times people tend to forget that we also human beings, and living in a place that is not predominantly al-Islam, we have a lot of pitfalls, especially for our background. So this is the reason why I do what I do, to tell our story from our perspective, even though our reach is global, but it's telling our perspective so we don't get like, you know, I guess we'll say weeded out or whatnot. So for those who might not know, what is the mission of Black Muslims now?
That is our mission, predominantly to create visibility and unification and empowerment for Black Muslims. We're starting in New York City, so that is the nexus of the work that we do, and we do this through strategic programming, we do it through service work, we do it through political advocacy, and we do carefully curated events that help build community. So those are the pathways that we're using right now. We have one of the first things we came out with, because we actually have really been evolving. What we first thought we would be is just the plug, sort of like, okay, we want to connect Black Muslims. So we'll say like, we'll make a list or a database or something if there's a bunch of Black Muslim dentists, you'll know, we'll be the person to show you where to find them. So one of the first things we did was we created a product that we call the Now, and that's a weekly Black Muslim event planner. That's what we call it. And it's a text messaging service that you can subscribe to for free. And for now, right now, it gets expensive. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I hope the community will support us if and when we ever get to that level, because it's been a labor of love. It takes a lot of work, but what we do is we find out like what's going on in the Black community each week, you know, whether it be classes, social events, Zoom stuff, whatever. Like a lot of stuff is local, but also if it's on Zoom, we'll also include that. And so it gives you a chance to know who are the Black teachers. So it's kind of doing exactly what we wanted to do, connecting you to Black professionals, connecting you to Black spaces, connecting you to Black Muslim educators, and all that. And then, so we just send you this text once a week on Fridays, and then you can plug into any of these things that you want to do. It's a free program. Anybody wants to do it, just have to text 833-883-0013 and text the word join, and then you can sign up for the Now, and you'll get it once a week. It's just one text a week, so you will not get spammed or anything. But that was our first product that we came out with to just start the ball rolling. And we were kind of real happy with just that for a minute. And then Allah just moves you in the way Allah moves you. Like we did not ever plan to be doing events and things like that. But we were still in COVID, not even really established. Nobody knew about us but us. We thought we put an Instagram page and stuff, but we were just still building. And then a Muslim matrimonial app contacted us and said, hey, we want to do something for Black History Month in New York. We're a British-based company, and we want to know if you would consider, you know, producing this event. We're like, what? Again, wow. We are not thinking about producing anything. Like we're not producers of events. And again, keep in mind, like we came together from a chat group where everybody didn't necessarily know each other previously. I didn't know anybody, not one person. Right? So that went into trying to build this group. I didn't know them in person, and we're in COVID, so we're doing everything on Zoom. We don't know anybody's skill set, nothing. We're just trying. This is all from heart. Like we just want to do something. So I don't know. They were asking other people to, not just us. And so we met and we pitched on Zoom and pitched an idea of what we might want to do, and they picked us. And we're like, okay, so now we're doing this event, and we didn't plan it. But long story short, we wound up doing it. It turned out to be extremely successful and beautiful event. It's still, it just came out amazing. Like it really was amazing. I'm not exaggerating. Like it was really like, this is so good. Like, and what was good about it is that it did exactly what it was supposed to do, like give brothers and sisters a chance to meet each other, and in a way that was, but I guess it was unique because we did it in a way that was more casual. Like it didn't put a lot of pressure on anybody. It just gave them space to be around each other. And it was kind of an elevated experience. We did it at the Africa Center, Taranga up there. And I was just blessed. Like people were just like giving me free stuff. It was great. Like my budget was $3,000. Like we probably wound up putting on a $15,000 event, but I only had but people were being so kind. I was like, look, we're starting this. And like people were like, okay, I'm gonna give you this, I'm gonna give you that. And we wound up just having a great event. I was just blessed. We all were just blessed, and it wound up being a great event. And then after that, I really was like, wow, like similar to what we were just talking about, like building Black Muslim families. That's part of the revolution. Like that is not like minor work. That's not like cute play stuff. Like that's serious business, and we need to be in that serious business. So I saw how much it meant to people. People from other cities started to DM us like, hey, can you do one in our city? We heard about this. I really want to get married. I want to marry someone, a Black Muslim person, like all this stuff. So I realized, in fact, wow, that's not, at first, when you're thinking you're in this political atmosphere, you're thinking like, got to do something about what the government's doing and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, no, like it really starts at home. Really
Yes.
starts with the foundational stuff we build. You know, I have a son and I always tell him, I say like, listen, like everything, how you build value in yourself. Like it doesn't come from what you do outside. Like first, or it can, but first it has to come from yourself. Like you gotta like orient yourself. Then after that, like orient your home and your family life right here, right where you are. Then you could
Mhm.
go outside and orient yourself and work with your neighbors and the people right next to you, your city, your state. Then after that, you go to the world. If you jump from having even figured out you to try to figure out the world,
Yeah.
you're not going to be much of a success with that, you
No.
know? So that's the same way I felt. I was like, wow, we really got to like do this work right here, like with the individual, with our families. We got to build those families. How do I get that life that I dream of that my parents had if we're not even able to build families? Like we're having a struggle with that. So that's really important. That became like, okay, these are the kind of things we need to do. We need to start creating spaces where we can get together because how come we can't marry amongst each other? A lot of times that doesn't happen. Why are we marrying outside of, you know, maybe we're marrying non-Muslims, maybe we're not looking, a lot of Muslim women, Black Muslim women are unmarried. Why are they not being selected? What is going on? You know, so we need to create spaces, one, where we can just see each other. We can just, I went to Dubai for a wedding and my friend, I met someone there. I said, well, how did you meet yourself? They were like, oh, we met at the mall. And I was like, ooh. So this could just happen because everybody around you is Muslim. So you can just bump into somebody and that person's Muslim, no doubt, and you can
Yeah.
marry that person. But for us, we're in school, we're here, we're there, and people right next to us are not necessarily Muslim. So how do we find more Muslims? You know, so we have to create spaces for that. So that's part of the work that I'm invested in doing for Black Muslims now.
Alhamdulillah. And what are some of the common misconceptions about Black Muslims that you've been pretty much working to address? Like, if you want to pinpoint even more.
Well, for Black Muslims now, I think the way I approach it, my concern is solely on us, you know. And yes, I do want to, in terms of what the world does, like I do want the world to see us differently in terms of our visibility. But I think again, the work is just internal. Like, so we have to start dealing with each other differently. So I'm not too concerned about how people look at us outside right now. But as a Black Muslim in the world, I can tell you some of the misconceptions that come because, you know, of course, like I've traveled a lot. And well, the first thing is that you are a convert. That has to be the case. If you are Muslim, you cannot be born Muslim. That's one of the misconceptions that happens a lot. You have to have become Muslim some other kind of way, or you have to be from another country.
Mhm.
If you are Muslim, then you're not American like me. So I'm asked all the time, like, you know, oh well, where are your parents from? And I'll be like Philadelphia, and they'll be like, they'll be like, where are your parents from? Philadelphia. And I'll be like, okay, okay, but your father's father, where is he from? And I'm like, Philadelphia. They're just like, hmm. So, and which is another thing too, because well, it's a sidebar of just the Black stuff and maybe not the Muslim stuff, but like even when I first moved to New York, it's different in Philly. So Philly has a long history of like light skin on light skin mixing, you know, long, huge history of that. So, you know, you could be looking at somebody damn near look white, blue eyes and everything, but they Black and they just look Black people. Like,
Mhm.
so, but when I came to New York, that wasn't like such a thing. So
Mhm.
people would always be like, "What are you? What are you?" When I came here, right? Like, not like, what are they asking me? I really did not understand the question. Like, I did
Yeah.
not relate it to race because I just didn't even. I couldn't even imagine like why is the person asking me what I am? Like a girl? Like I don't know. I'm like what? Like I was so confused by it. But then it turned out to be that they're asking about race, and I kind of figured it out after being asked this multiple times. Um, and so, because in Philly, like if you had I had friends that had like a Japanese mom, they never said they were mixed.
Yeah.
They were just black. Like,
Black. Yeah.
like so,
Yeah.
yeah. But I guess I never heard the term just black the way I heard it till I came to New York.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, so you're not from the Caribbean, you're not here from there, you're not there. So you're just black? I'm like, I don't know if I like the way that sounded.
Yeah, it's real
Like, I feel like
ignorant.
just like I feel like there's some demeaning in this, like the way that you're saying just. Like, but yeah, so I think it's hard for people to like accept it. You obviously, if you are Black and Muslim, that you actually know the deen, like that you actually are studying.
Yeah.
Even if you are Muslim, you cannot be studying. Like you don't know things.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know Arabic, might not even know how to say a prayer. You just don't know a lot of things, and you need to be corrected or taught all the time. So people will jump in on little things all the time just to correct you or just to head you off because you are Black and you probably do stuff like,
yeah.
So those kind of things I think are common misconceptions that happen. I don't know what else. Tell me some other stuff.
I mean, you have any stories that you can, any stories you would like to share from your work, or things that touch you or reinforce the reason why this platform, Black Muslim Now, is important?
Well, we have had from the work with dealing with that first event that we had, which was a Black Muslim singles event. I just honestly, I know for people I was just at something recently and the email was saying like, we are a faith that believe that is about miracles, built on miracles. And that really hit me because I do feel like a lot of things have happened, like the story I told, just some random person coming to say, like, come do this event. And that leading to us starting to do events that was very much needed for our community, and just opening our vision to being able to see that that's something that the community needed. So, like the first event I did, we were building a green wall at the event. And there was a sister in there, just in the restaurant where we were going to do the thing. We were building a green wall prior to the event. And so we're in there working, and the sister just sitting there on the phone doing some work on her computer. And then she asked me what we're doing, and I told her, and she said, "Oh, that's interesting. We just got to chatting." So she said, "Can I volunteer for the event?" And I said, "Oh, are you Muslim?" She said, "No." She said, "But my mom converted, and so I'm kind of like Muslim adjacent." So I said, "Okay, well, we do need volunteers. I'm not gonna turn the volunteer down." So
yeah, right.
I said, "Okay, come and volunteer." So she came, she volunteered, and everybody on our team, as a thank you, got a membership, a gold membership to the dating or Muslim matrimonial site. So I was like, "Well, you help, I'm giving you one." So I gave her one. Alhamdulillah, like from there, she wound up marrying, not very shortly after that, like, Muslim brother. They have a beautiful family. They have a child. And I was at their wedding. And she was like, "This is the reason. This is right here."
Wow.
She's the reason why I'm married. Another sister recently got married too. And she was like, I've been like encouraging her about marriage stuff, but whatever, nothing happened. But one day she went on to the Now. She saw a Muslim matrimonial event, and I had told her about going to it. She went. She also got married, so I was also at her wedding. She was like, "This is the reason." This is the right here. She was responsible because she was the one who pushed me toward this. And so those are two times where I really felt like the work we do is really impactful. But it's just all the time too. Like it's just we did, just to find community spaces for us where we have Black Muslim joy. That is really meaningful to me. We did a movie event. We went to see Black Panther when it came out the last one. And the team wanted to do it. I was like, I don't want to do this because this isn't even about Muslims. Like, why are we going to see Black Panther? What does this have to do with Muslims? Everybody's going to see it. We should just do it again. So I said, okay. So once I get into something, I like get into it. I'm a passionate person. So like, I'm like, okay, we're doing this. Then I'm like, oh, I'm like gung ho. I had on the, it was like, I was like, we're going to make it costume. We're going to do this. Then I had on the full costume. I was doing all the stuff. So like, so we were like, let's rent out like 20 seats and then we'll just tell people to come. But every time we would rent 20 seats out, like, it would just go, tickets would go so fast. And like, get 10 more. And I was like, let's just find a theater. So we bought the theater. And it was a risk because, again, like, we're grassroots. So everything we're doing is coming straight out of pocket. It's not like anybody's funding us. So we're like risking losing all the money that we need. so we bought the theater. Alhamdulillah, it did sell out. And I thought that was going to be just a, like, whatever kind of thing. But when I just walked in that theater and just felt that joy that was in there in the room, like, people were so happy to be in a space with all Black Muslims. Like, I'm just in a movie theater and it ain't nobody in here but Black Muslims. And they were like kids and elders and everybody in between. And it was just this palpable joy in the room. And I'm up here like crying, like when I'm trying to like read them, because that's what I want to see. Like, that's what I want people to feel. That's what I want us to give people. And so those moments like that seem like, oh, well, it was just a movie. Like, it really is significant. And I see people all the time who are like, you don't want to take the movie. Like, it was years ago. It was years ago, but like, people still are like, that was 2022, but people are like, you did the movie. Oh my God. Like, do another one like that. Like, it was just those things. And, yeah, like, those things almost mean more to me than, we, by the will of Allah, like, we just got shifted into all spaces, like political spaces. Nobody asked, but it's just like got swept into these spaces. Yeah. Like, people just ask me to do stuff. I mean, we're doing this year. We did a project for incarcerated women, Muslim women, where we are giving them e-gifts and writing letters to them and trying to make connection with this community. That only happened because the senator's office in Harlem called us and said, hey, somebody wrote us from the prison. They have some issues. Can you do something with this? And then I just like, oh, okay. Like, I've just been accepting the stuff that comes to us because I just feel like Allah is saying, like, go this way, go that way. Wherever Allah like telling me go, like, I'm just going that way. And so you wind up doing other kind of work that you maybe didn't have on your agenda to do, but when you're able to, and I, I didn't expect to do that, but then I started, it came to me, I was like, wow, like, let me look into this more. Like, why would we do something like this specifically for women? And I realized, like, that women really have a specific need that isn't being met. They are really, like, their needs are really same as I'm talking about Black Muslim needs in general. Muslim incarcerated persons are really not being, the women, they're not part of people's conversation much. They talk about the men, but the women, no. And they have a very, very specific challenges. For one, I found out that they're being Muslim women are being incarcerated at an alarmingly increasing rate. Something like 585 times it has gone up since the 80s.
Oh wow, subhanallah.
And they are oftentimes they're incarcerated far away from where they live, so they don't get visited in the same way that men do. And also, just because they're women, a lot of times they have children, and people will start to raise their children. And a lot of times when you're raising someone's children, another woman, she'll start to feel like that is her child. And they don't bring them to visit the people anymore. They start to just take over ownership of these people's children. So they lose their families a lot. And there's a lot of things they specifically deal with. They become isolated. They don't get visited because a man maybe doesn't visit his incarcerated girlfriend or wife the same way that a woman might do, So they really become isolated and they're really lost. And so I thought it was really important that we specifically focus on the women that are incarcerated. I didn't see anybody else doing that kind of work.
Mhm.
So
Is that an
that's
ongoing? This is the ongoing project you're working
inshallah,
on?
this is the first year that we did it. So
Okay.
my my prayer is that we'll continue the relationships and make it ongoing, and even like move into other prisons in the one right now we're servicing 2 state prisons, but I hope that we can grow this program, inshallah, because I think it's needed.
Yeah, that definitely that's I mean, I remember seeing some of the advertisements that you had about that. And it is alarming because I didn't know. I didn't know that we had like, a large percentage of just incarcerated Muslims. Like I'm thinking, okay, I can see if they converted to Islam in the prison, you know, um, or are they like born
Well, I
Muslim?
was saying that percentage, I'm talking about women in general. So just women in general, not Muslim women.
Ah, I got you. I got
So,
you. I got
so,
you.
but there are Muslim women that are there. And that was one of the sister that wrote to me. She was saying like, hey, I need help because it's crazy in here. And she was like,
Wow.
and we're isolated in a way that the men aren't. And so we are just really alone. We don't have much contact from the outside world. And so you're in the zoo environment and you just start losing yourself. She's like, so I'm seeing sisters like leaving the dean, and I want to help bring us back to the dean. And she was like, we also have a chaplain here who's Pakistani. And she the way she saw this woman, she was like, she is racist and discriminatory toward us, and she doesn't care about us. This is just a job for her. She was telling me how she wanted to get a hijab, and she asked her, "Can I get one?" She said, and the sister said it's $6, and she said it took her more than a year to save $6 to get one. She
Wow.
she didn't give her one, um, even though it was only $6. And so that's why I was like, okay, I want to do something for these sisters and give them a connection to the outside world. And inshallah, if and when they come out, they will have a place, a community that would embrace them. That could be Black Muslim now, and know some place outside of here that is practicing Islam, that's for Black people, that loves Black people. And so yeah, so I'm happy about getting that done finally, because we've been trying to do it for a long time. It's really hard to get into these facilities and get cooperation. So it took us a while to get this off the ground. So
Are there any partnerships or collaborations that have been specifically impactful to the Black Muslims now?
uh, well, I'll name one. I told you about this, the one we did with the Muslim matrimonial app. And then and those are also like allyship partnerships, like where we've partnered with people who are not Black Muslim, but who asked us to do something. And we had another one with another group called Mipsters, and they are predominantly not Black Muslim as well. And we did our only so far Eid event that we ever did with them, which was a collaboration. They do something called an Eid mic. And so at every Eid, they do a thing that showcases Muslim artists. So when they came to us, I said, okay, well, and again, I don't know why these people came to us, because it was just like we were still just new. And they said, but they wanted to do something with us. And I said, well, if we're going to do it, I want to showcase Black Muslim artists. So I'm willing to work with you if you believe that we deserve to have Black platforms. If you believe in the work that Black Muslims now are doing, if you understand that we've been marginalized, and you want to support, changing that, then it would be worth us working together. But if you don't see it that way, because what I would ask is that I be allowed to curate, because I don't want to bring my community out to see non-Black Muslim artists. I want to elevate us. So I want us on that stage, and I want our art and our work to be shown. And alhamdulillah, they were like, okay, we're willing to let you do that. So I was like, okay. I was like, also, if we start selling tickets together and you guys have your team already plays. You got your followers. You guys have been doing what you've been doing for a while. And Black people just move differently. So I was like, those tickets are going to be gone and no Black people are going to get a ticket. Like,
Mhm.
so I need you to give me 2/3 of ticket sales and I'll just sell those tickets. You can sell a third to your community. And they alhamdulillah, they just said yes.
Alhamdulillah.
They
Yeah.
said yes to that. And the third thing I asked them was to be able to keep the money because I was like, hey, like we're starting and we need support. So are you willing to support us financially as well? Like, and they said yes. And they said yes to all those things. And we wound up doing that collaboration. And it was really great. Again, like we're patting ourselves on that. But I don't even think it's us patting. I just feel like Allah just like puts this wind we need some of the stuff that we've been doing and it just makes it okay. Because every time I'm going in, I'm like, I've never done anything like this. Like, what have we been doing here? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have any artists. Like, what am I even telling them I'm going to get the artists? I'm like doing, I'm always just like, let's just see. And Allah just makes it come out right each time. So they said that was their 10th anniversary, and they said that was the most successful one they ever had.
Oh
So
wow, subhanAllah. See that?
like that was a really
Yeah.
good collaboration. And I'm still waiting because this is the dream, like to work more with other Black Muslim organizations. There's definitely like supports in terms of sharing each other's work and stuff like that. But I really want to like do something collaboratively with another Black Muslim organization. I would say like Imam Aziz up in the Bronx. We've done some stuff with his masjid to open his doors to do stuff there. But I think there's a lot more we can do with our different organizations. Since we popped out, there's a lot of pop outs. Like there's a lot of people doing like Black Muslim things like since 2020 when we started. And so it just makes sense that we should be trying to get some crossover and bring our communities together. Hasn't happened yet, but I'm still praying for that to happen. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things like that we learn as Muslims that Allah created us in nations and tribes so that we may learn from each other or and collaboration is something that I never shy away from because we all want ummah and coming from the background that we come from, I feel that our story has to be represented, especially here in the Western Hemisphere, where we pretty much made that major contribution. Being marginalized, of course, we face a lot of challenges. And we see a lot of Muslims coming from other countries, or we will call foreign Muslims, when how they come together and they're able to like make things happen.
yeah,
And at many organizations, we all know that corporate sponsors is the way to go. And kind of like without restrictions is one of the things that we really look for. Because a lot of the times when you get sponsorships that come with many restrictions, and then it's kind of like they might not want to highlight us. So these are like some of the challenges that I know we face, you know what I'm saying? But alhamdulillah that we have media, and today we have social media to where we really don't need marketing as far as like big media to market what we have, because we have every individual that's doing their thing can go out there and represent. So how do you think media for both Muslims and non-Muslims can be better for Black Muslims?
we have to have courage. That's number one. Um, you know, as I said, like sometimes I'm getting pulled into spaces that I didn't expect to be, and I'm getting into people will try. They're like, "Oh, Black Muslim now, okay." Like, let me say like not maybe non-Muslim but political spaces and places. People call you in to come to a media event, like when they're trying to get something across, and they'll give you their script, what they want you to say, what they want you to talk about, and 9 times out of 10, what they want me to talk about is not what I want to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to take those opportunities and have the courage to say, look, I don't care what they think. I want to take this space. I'm in front of a camera. uh, and I have a mic in front of me, and I'm going to tell the truth about what we need and what's happening. So I always take those opportunities to talk about, like a lot of times now, like they right now at this moment, I've been called to into rooms and spaces and rallies and whatnot, where they just doing it. You'll go to the rally and be like, only the people that they want there, you know, and then it's the whole press there. And so, like I said, again, sometimes I've been there thinking like, I'm just here. Like, I mean, and then they'll say, oh, Black Muslim now come speak. Like, what? So I'll get on the mic and, you know, they want to talk about a lot now, the what's going on with immigration. And I have a lot of different points of view around that, because what I'm seeing in the media is this kind of conversation around Islamophobia and how they, let me say this the right way, how they brand this whole thing. They'll be like Arab and Muslim hate. I've heard that phrase just like that when I'm going to the space. So then when I'm getting up there to talk, I'm saying, first of all, I'm going to need you to stop saying Arab and Muslim hate. Because if you want to isolate a group of people as the most marginalized, then you should be saying Black and Muslim hate. Like, that's what you should be saying, you know? And it's not comfortable, because a lot of times when I'm speaking like this in these spaces, when the media is there, of course, you probably never see me saying that on the TV, but I'll say it in the space, because they'll probably cut that. But I'll say that. I was like, so we need to change this language, first of all. You know, this is not, because at the heart of everything we're seeing happening is anti-Black racism. So I have to keep like reiterating this and I know that I'll be alone when I'm saying this. So you have to have the courage to be alone.
That's
like,
true.
when I'm saying this, I'm alone. At least, even if, okay, so I'll say like, okay, so the heart is anti-Black racism. And I'll say, listen, if you want to talk about this, you need to face reality and look at who Trump has banned. The countries he has banned are Black and Muslim majority. And if they're not Muslim, they're just Black, countries. And so this is not about the South Americans. This is not about the Arabs. Who are we talking about? Who's on that paper?
That's right.
It's us.
That's right.
So people are trying to act like it's somebody else that's happened to. And if you want to go into the immigration detention centers, you're going to see us in there.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not in there, guess what? They're going to whip us on horseback and throw us on a plane and send us back. That's what they do to us. So who has, besides us, have experienced that kind of degradation? But you're not even talking about that. So they don't want to hear nothing about this. They want to talk about Arabs. They want to talk about Latin Americans and or Latinos, people from South America, Central America.
Yeah.
They want me to talk about that, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about what's happening to us. No, always have to move the conversation back to that, move the conversation back to that, move the conversation back to that. So I think like we have to start being brave, speaking about this very boldly in spaces where we can. On our platforms, and also when we have the opportunities, if some of us have the opportunity to be in front of a camera, a news camera, and dealing with media that's outside of our own, then we have to speak up about what we know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the biggest thing.
Totally.
That's the biggest way that we can use that. But again, like outside of that, we just have to build that unification piece, because everybody's like going on their own track. Mm-hmm. And it's not enough like coming together. Like what we could be doing in New York City if all the Black masters came together, if all the Black Muslim organizations came together, we'd be having like imagine what our Eid event would be like. Like imagine what like how much we would start to know each other. I think there's a lot of more work that can be done. Like I would love to get into these, like, use the models that work. The churches have membership.
Mm-hmm.
So, so people who are in church communities, they feel ownership over the spaces and places that they go to worship. Right now, most of our masters don't have anything like that.
Mhm.
So you just go there and you leave there.
Mhm.
It's not yours. But we need to make it ours. We need to build something for all of us. And I have a dream of doing all this kind of stuff, like getting into all these spaces to the point where I get everybody to do all this stuff. I don't know if Allah will allow me to be successful with that, but that's like my dream to get close to all of these people and be like, listen, let's work this out. Let's get everybody on board with changing the way that we operate so that we become an actual Black Muslim community. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, all these masters are connected. We all have a registry. That's what they did in the nation that worked. You know, they had a registry. Like,
Yeah,
like everybody
yeah,
named it. Like, you know exactly who you are. And so
yeah.
things like what's happening now, like where I just was at an event, with Imam Khalid and Linda Sarsour, they were doing this chai and chat, and it was all about getting a voting block for the Muslim community in New York. And they were like, and right away, because it's always what happens. Every time I'm in those spaces, I'm like, okay, here we're going to be forgotten again. Because they were like, we have a great registry going, you know, like we have now identified, excuse me, we've identified the Muslim vote. How we've done that is through last name, Arab last names, so South Asian last names, and then they're like so happy that they finally got West African last names in there. Like, woo, we got everybody. I'm like, excuse me. What about the American Black community that mostly don't have those, or a lot of us don't have those last names? So we're just not counted. Oh well, we're not. Like they forgot all about us. And I was just at a masjid recently, and the imam was like, "I'm all about Eric Adams." Blah blah blah. He's like, "I love him. He's done stuff for our community. Nobody's gonna change nobody about that." So again, like, where's the outreach to these communities? That might change if there was outreach there.
Yeah.
There was somebody saying, "What do you need? This is what I'm going to do for you." You know, but there's no outreach there because at the bottom of it, they don't really think we matter. You know, so they're like, we can do it without them, and that's what they've been doing. We don't we don't really factor in as Muslims, you know, in the
Yeah.
conversation. So that's why this continues to happen, and nobody wants to deal with the ugly elephant in the room, you know, which is anti-Black racism that exists within the Muslim world, you know. So, and then that anti-Black racism has levels to it because the bottom level is American Black Muslim. Like that's the most dismissed, the most hated. Um, and a lot of times you'll see immigrant communities who have organizations working with Black Muslim immigrants because they feel a kinship in their immigration status or coming from someplace else. But they have not bothered to understand us, and it is hard to understand us. So if
Yeah.
you want to include us, you really need to have someone on your staff that is one of us.
Yes.
Because and they have to be not just one of us, but somebody who's brave enough, who understands it, who gets it, and who can explain it to you. Not just any Black person, because we know like it could be a Black Muslim face in a high place, but that don't mean nothing because we've seen
That
that
door, yeah,
happen.
for sure, for sure,
And
for
they can
sure.
be American too, but it still don't mean nothing.
Yeah, for
um,
sure.
so we have to be careful about who we choose to. Again, all around, it just takes courage. And I don't think a lot of times it manifests in the same way that diversity and inclusion manifests in the white world, like where, we'll bring somebody in that's Black, but they'll be West African, somebody that really is not associated with the problems of Black people in America.
Yeah.
So it really can't speak to their needs or anything. So, but we just have a Black person, so we've met the quota, you know.
Hmm.
So, so those are the kind of conversations that I keep having to have. And a lot of times when I'm having them, unfortunately, even if there are like other Black Muslims in the room, I don't always get support it in the moment. Like, you got the mic, you're saying something, and it's like you would want people to be like, that's right.
Yeah.
You want some of that, right? But people be like, afterward, when everything's said and done, they'll come to you on the side, like, you said the right things this time, right? But I'm like, yeah, but you were supposed to be there. Like, yes, we all agree. Like,
That's right.
exactly what
That's
she
right.
said. But that doesn't happen yet. We haven't gotten courageous enough to do that in this moment. But I have faith that it can happen. Just got to keep going. I think every time like somebody takes courage, it encourages the next person to be courageous. So once you say something, then it will make them feel like they can do it. So even if it takes time, like I still have faith that we can get there.
Yeah, inshallah, definitely. Yeah, because I mean, I look at it like 5 years down the line, seeing Black Muslim now more on a global level. I mean, I was from someone contacted from London, that makes us global, right? But I'm talking about like getting into like Southeast Asia, getting into like West Asia, and more of the like the Gulf states, like in Qatar or Emirates or even Saudi, and having some like getting in those locations where we can sit down and talk and discuss about our situation over here. Because what I found, like more so in the past, is that many don't even care about what's going on with us over here because they look at just America in general as a white man's world, and how can I get some business going on over there? And I even have one particular brother from over there who is an imam, and we were talking about just like the struggles. And he dismissed us by saying, people struggle all over the place. You know what I'm saying? And that is like a pet peeve of mine when other like Muslims that are not from United States of America traditionally dismiss us because we come from oppression. And people need to understand is like when we were enslaved, number one, because you can't get us to do anything unless you beat us. Because we just got that strong will, you know what I'm saying? And once we were liberated from that, there was no therapy session.
No.
And I remember talking to one brother and I was mentioning him about the stables that they had as far as the breeding stables of
Yeah.
black people here in America, where you're basically the woman is being raped to breed.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever the slave master decide that's going to have a child with this sister as who is against her will. So, and this sister could be, maybe married and still be forced to have children with somebody else because they're being bred. So I had to like really I don't do no more of that back and forth with people like I used to, because back in the days, fiery energy, I'm bombing you straight up. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh yeah, boom, 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 and I'm letting you have it. But then I had to understand that these people are extremely ignorant to our situation over here. And my thing is like, if you ignorant, that's one thing. But when you start addressing with arrogance, now that's another problem. And it goes back to that ayah where Allah created us in nations and tribes so we may learn from each other. Over here, we were stripped from that. So many of us do go out, look for that type of identity. Some of us, we may go study in the University of Medina or any other Al Azhar University and come back with the Arabic accent, English Arabic accent. Like, yo, brother, you from Bed-Stuy, you from Brownsville. What are you talking about? Yani and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? And or we might go to Africa, to Senegal or Nigeria and adopt the African way and come back ultra African. where I'm like, yo, bro, you from Soundview Projects. Remember who you are. You can get enlightenment, you can get knowledge, but you are from here. So when you coming back to your people, you have to be balanced and be who you are. We don't, it seems like we're the only ones that have to do that. It's that old colonial mentality where it's like, okay, you have to learn my way or my language and my customs in order for me to address you or accept you. I'm not going to accept you for who you are as a African or Black American. You have to conform to my identity for me to even address you. And a lot of the times that's what happened to us. So then when you see a group or organization like Black Muslims Now, where I felt comfortable because I'm like, man, these are just regular Negroes now, but these are these are Black people who identify as being Black. They just happen to be Muslim just like me. Like I'm a third generation Muslim. My grandparents were Muslim, that my mom, my dad Muslim, and here I am. So when I get those questions, oh, they see my name, like if I work, they have my name tag. Oh, Hamed. Like today I was asked, Hamed, oh, okay, where are you from? And another brother who's Muslim, but he's from Brooklyn. I say Harlem, and he just start cracking up. You know what I'm saying? And then they're like, oh, but like where? Harlem. And then they said you wanted like you said, where's your grandparents from? I was like Georgia. And it says, I don't know after that. That's as far as I go back. They from Georgia. So for them, is they automatically assume that you converted to Islam. They'll ask like, what was your name before and all that other stuff like that. And I'm born with this name. And they're like, okay. Then that gives me the opportunity to, I won't say just educate them like I'm some teacher, but share our story. And what I found is that you have to be extremely patient because they, first of all, they just like a lot of white Americans, they only know us from what they see on TV, which is crazy because it's America where we all from. Our brothers and sisters from foreign countries have the same mentality. They only see us from what is projected on TV. So they're like, I can't believe there are Muslims there. Hence why I even heard one imam at a masjid was talking about with the Muslims in America, Black American Muslims, that like we don't know nothing and they have to teach us. And as many times, like at the end of the cook bar, I want to just straight let them know what's up. But I'm like, nah, leave that alone because it's pointless. Because it's a long period of time that it takes for you to study. And if you've been here for X amount of years and you're still talking like that, that means you're not you're not even in tune with what's going on. You're still inhibited and stuck in your way. So that's why I'm so happy that you were here and we can chop it up because you are actually out there putting in this work and you're a sister. And a lot of people don't know that the black woman, especially the Black Muslim woman, that's the anchor, the backbone in American society, especially Black American culture. The mother or the grandmother, big mama, that's always the nucleus. Whereas in other countries, it might be more of a patriotic thing. Over here, it's more matriarchic. And that's another misconception that people have about us over here. So they dismiss our women. Like Brother Malcolm said one time, the most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. And a lot of the times, man, that goes over people's head. They don't understand the amount that our women have to endure and have to go through in order to preserve us as a culture. And which is into my next list of questions, more so on your spiritual journey. And it was something that I mean had a big smile on my face when I saw you embarking on these trips. And then the recent, well, not the recent one, but you was in Jerusalem, which for me it's a real sensitive just subject and everything when it comes to Al-Quds or Jerusalem and everything. And when I saw you out there, it made me so happy to see you there walking in the footsteps of the messengers of Allah, in particular Prophet Isa ibn Maryam, and being there where the Prophet ﷺ made his ascension. And it's like, it gave me a lot of, because for me, I have my reserves about out there and everything, but to see you there with other sisters, I was like, wow, she made it through. She got there. She was able to. So, like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, whoa, that was major, man. Because you know the history. Like, what was your first thought or feeling like you had when you stepped into the Al Aqsa Masjid for the first time?
Well, you know, it was such a whirlwind, just even the journey of getting there. I had no plan to go there. Like I wasn't trying to go there. Again, a lot just be going a lot does because I really wasn't on my radar at all to go there. I actually was invited, and I was like, "What?" like, like, and and I was invited to go to help to establish a Black Muslim presence at Al Aqsa, and also to do some research and make some connections with the hopes of being able to bring a delegation of Black Muslims over that I will be able to lead with a group of people and to really just do exactly what we're trying to do with all the work that we're doing, which is to make Black Muslim visible again. Like that is a holy site. It belongs to all of us. Black Muslims should be present there. And if we can help facilitate that, that's what the work that I want to do. So it goes, and also the last piece of that was just to elevate the presence of Black Muslims who are Palestinian,
Mm-hmm.
because they are also being invisibilized. You don't ever see them, and there's lots of them, you know.
Wow.
So anyway, the journey, it's a lot. Like just getting there because we decided not to go through Tel Aviv and to cross the border from Jordan
Okay.
in money with the Israelis. So we went that route, and so it was a lot. I don't even go into all of that because that's a long thing. But I don't even think I understood the value of where I was till I started to hear the stories. I didn't even know, I wasn't even educated enough about that place until I went there. And all my education really came like while I was there.
Wow.
And then I started just being in awe because it's like, oh, well, this is where Miriam was, like this is where she was giving her food. This is where the Prophet Musa greeted his guests, and then we went into the home that he had. It's like what, like you know, in a way, because we grew up here and we grew up with like Christian indoctrination, even if you're not Christian, like you're still growing up with that kind of mythological ideology around prophecy, you know, and to go there and to see all these places, to go to these people's graves in Makkah and just be like, okay, so the Prophet Ibrahim, this is here, right here. This is where his remains are. And you walking all these places that they've been, and it's like, no, these are real human beings that existed. And this is where they live. It's the same that you might feel when you go to Medina and be like, this is like really like this is his wife's house. This is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is his wife's house. You know, like you like I'm just in these real spaces. Like it just becomes. I can't describe like the way that this feels like to just be there and know that you're just walking the footsteps of all these people that allow grace to be our prophets, you know. I was just in awe like the whole time. Like I was in awe the whole time in a spiritual way, but also when you're there, you're dealing with the practicality of being in the occupied land. And so we didn't just spend time at Al Aqsa, we spent time traveling around and going to refugee camps and meeting. And again, like I said, I had a mission. Some of us on the trip had a mission to make connection with the Black Palestinian population, and so that was on the agenda. So we saw a lot. Like we did a lot of touring, historical touring as well. So a lot of time was spent at the masjid, but a lot of time was also just spent seeing what was there and exploring this history that you speak of. This awesome history, like this, just like blows your mind. Like you can't even contain it all. It's just a profound feeling, and to know that you have accepted this legacy into your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're not just like when you say you're walking in their footsteps, you're like really walking in their footsteps, you know? So, I mean, subhanAllah, like it just, I just feel so blessed that a lot of children that like it's just the same way we always say, like, if you're going to make your umrah, you know, people say like you accept the Allah's invitation, like to come there. Yes. I mean, I accepted the Allah's invitation, and I really truly was invited. Like I didn't have a plan to go there. I didn't have money to go there. None of it. Like I was like, and I tried to not even go because I was like, well, people, my family didn't want me to go. They were like, it's dangerous, da da da. And I didn't have the money to go. And like, there was like, I had a scholarship, but there was like a little bit that I had to still pay. And I was like, I don't even have that. So I was just like, and then I got to spend money while I'm there. It's like, I'm not going to go. This is just all too much. And it happened really fast. Like, it was like, you want to go in 2 weeks? It wasn't like I had like months to plan this, right? So I was like, what? I really almost just came back from Umrah when I was going there, because I went at the end of February, and I went Umrah like January 2nd. So
that's right.
It was really close. And so I'm like, what? It just was amazing. Like I'm just, and even with Umrah, like I wasn't even trying to do that either. Like I kind of wanted to go on Umrah, but I didn't expect to go. Yeah, I mentioned it to an imam that I have a relationship with, and I said, hey, I really want to go on Umrah with this group, but I'm not going to be able to go. He said, why do you want to go on Umrah? And I was like, well, I just, it's a lot I want to sort out spiritually, and I have these things I want to work out. I just really feel like if I just go to Allah's house, I will be able to like work these things out. Well, why don't you go with us? And I was like, well, I told you I have no money to go. he said, well, we can sponsor you to go. So, I was like, I didn't even believe it. I was like each time I was just like, I don't believe I'm really going here. I'm like at the airport, like, am I really going here? Like what's happening? So I mean, the day before the day of when we went to Palestine, I was like, another sister who also was invited to go was like, she called me. She said, "Are we actually going to the airport?" Like, I was like, I don't know. This is all crazy. Like before I knew it, they had sent me a ticket. I was like, I didn't even say I was really going, but you already bought the ticket.
Wow.
Like it was just like it was just meant to happen, and yeah, I mean, and we're gonna go back, inshallah.
Inshallah.
We're gonna go back. We're already working on the next planning that delegation that we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. We went with a mixed group of people, like in terms of ethnicity and race and stuff. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I want to tell the story another time, but like that was a perfect storm almost of like madness, because these things that we're talking about here, these race issues, like they are at the heart of all of this mess. They're at the heart of what's happening in Palestine. Mm-hmm. Like anti-Black racism sits in the heart of all of it. That's what it's all about, And it really came out on that trip with this mixed bag of folks that wound up on this trip, which was, let me see, there was like 5, so there was a couple and a mom, grandma, and 3 small children. They were South Asian. There was another South Asian young couple. There was a Afghan woman and a man who was Black American, and but they were married and they had children, so their children were there. And there was a Senegalese American woman, and there was 3 Palestinian Americans, and there was 4 Black American women, and there was 1 Black American man, other than the one who was married to African. So it was just this weird mix of people that wound up on the trip. And a lot of things happened that were difficult around race. And it was hard because it was Ramadan, and it was like we were during Ramadan, so it was all the spiritual work everybody was doing and sleeping in the masjids and all this. Like it was just so much stuff going on. And then we're also like doing service work. We're also like seeing all these historical sites, but we're mixed with people that don't understand each other. You know? And like it was also hard too, because as an American, like you're going to these places and sometimes somebody's saying something like you're in a refugee camp, and they're explaining how they built the ghettos for them, and that people are turning against each other. Sometimes they're fighting each other. Sometimes they're turning to drugs, and they're turning to this and that. People are visiting their young friends in the graveyards, and they're telling all those things. It's terrible. But as an American, like you're like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you're like, they did it to me. Yeah. And it's hard after a while when it keeps happening, and you see like your fellow companions who live in America like weeping about this, and you're like, do you weep like this when you see it happening to me at home? You know? And also it's hard because you realize the person that's telling the story has no thought or realization about how it happens to you. Like what we go through is just not on the radar of knowledge or interest. And you're like, you do know who you're talking to, right?
Yeah.
So after a while, you do start to feel a little uncomfortable. So with the brother who was on the trip, I didn't know him before. He was like, so one day he was very quiet and off on his own. One day he came up and he said, "How are you feeling about? How are you feeling about some of the stuff you've been hearing?" And I was like, "How are you feeling?" Like, you know. So at some point we had a meeting with all the Black people on the trip. Like, let's just have some time where we can like decompress and talk about the stuff, because it's feeling hurtful, you know. Like it's feeling really uncomfortable. And so we had a time when we met to talk about that. And like I said, like the Senegalese sister, she didn't join that group. And this is what I mean. Like it seemed, Allah knows best, but it seemed like she was more aligned with the other people that consider themselves from an immigrant background, you know? And so she didn't really understand what we were feeling. It's not her experience, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, really just showed us like even more like the importance. Like Allah just willed all of this stuff to happen in the way that it did, for us to see everything we saw, for the people that were on that trip to be there, for us to like have the blow ups, like some blow ups happen, like that happened that way, so that we could really understand what we need for ourselves. Like we really have to start taking care of ourselves. We really have to start leaving ourselves. We really have to start building the same work. It's the same work. It's just extension. Now we're taking it someplace else. Like we're taking it to our holy sites too. Like we have to build there. You know, even on Umrah, like as beautiful as it was in one way, I did experience racism there as well.
Oh wow.
And you know, it was beautiful in a lot of ways. I mean, subhanAllah, like I mean, I had so many miracles. Like the day before I was going to, I had 105 fever. You understand me? 105. Like I was like this is the day I'm leaving. It was so bad. My son was like, "You can't go. Like it's a wrap. Like you got to go to the hospital." He's like, "You can't go to your temperature 105." I was like, I couldn't even like move or go to the bathroom. I was a mess.
Wow.
So I was like, "No, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I have to go." Like I have to go. I went to sleep for like 3 hours. I woke up. I was down to like 100. Alhamdulillah. I went to the airport, and by the time I got on the plane, I was back to my normal temperature.
Alhamdulillah.
and I had a great trip. Um,
Man.
but like that trip, I had an injury, and I was actually like using a cane on the trip because
Okay.
really injured, and that was, I didn't even know if I'd be able to complete the Umrah because I was like, I'm like not even able. So I went, and that was stressful to like go with some kind of handicap and feeling like, and I went with a huge group of like 200 people. I didn't really know anybody except for the imam that invited me to the trip, and so I was really,
200 people.
yeah,
Oh, wow. That's a pretty big group.
yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know the people, and I would just feel like, oh my God, I'm like, and I'm injured. They're gonna be like, look at this crippled lady who's like, like, I was like, oh, I just feel so stressed. But alhamdulillah, like Allah is just merciful. When I actually did my actual Allah just allowed me to be relieved. I don't know, like it just, I didn't have the pain. I don't
Mhm.
know, like I just like I did it, and I didn't have the pain, and I even was able to do the second one, alhamdulillah, like that I did for my father um, while I was there. So that that was really, and we had Imam Khalid. I went with NYU, so Imam Khalid was the Imam, and he just had. I learned so much from watching how he set that trip up. That's why we're going to be going to stay tomorrow because like he's just, like I learned so much from how he organized the trip, and just when we do our delegation, I'm going to like really take a lot from what I saw him do on the trip because he just he just kept the spirit of, I don't know if everybody can do it because I'm not even really,
No, he's
but
an amazing person. He
yes, yeah, he
definitely.
just is. Alhamdulillah, may Allah just bless him. Like,
I mean,
um, but he just kept the energy on that trip to in such a place of love. Like people were like, if you shoe was untied, about 10 people was like jumping on each other trying to tie your shoe. Like everybody,
oh, wow.
like it was just with 200 people, like you still never like anything negative happening. Like it was just so much peaceful, joyful energy. That wasn't what I experienced with the group in Palestine because, again, like it all depends on like who's leading, how you lead, like all the stuff. Like if you're remembering a lot and everything that you do, like he just kept us on that, and then he picked the right other people to be on the trip, like as guides and all that, to
Yeah.
just have the same kind of energy. And it just was beautiful. Like I was so blessed to be able to go with them, and I wanted to go with another group, and then
Mm.
I'll just be making things go right. Like, put
Yeah,
you right.
that's right. That's right. He didn't make a mistake. That's right.
So I was like, this is how you were supposed to do this. Like, this is where you were safe and come. And then when I went on to Boston, I still had the injury, but it just like went away. It
Oh,
just
wow.
literally just disappeared. Like right before I went to trip, I was running around
Oh,
stuff like,
wow.
I don't know, like, so I just like I'm like, okay, you did that one time with the injury. I'm gonna just take this. like we just, like I said, we're just the people of miracle. It's fine. Like, don't worry about it. So I just accepted the miracle. I was like running around, no cane, like didn't have any worries. I was able to do all the things, and alhamdulillah, like, you know, yeah, it was a beautiful spiritual journey, both trips, and um, I learned it was hard on the like, real life part. Definitely difficult things happening related to the Israelis and all that. But
Mm.
one thing that was really tripped me out that happened. One day I got, well, it's hard to explain unless you go there, but one day at Fajr, I prayed in the masjid dogs, and when I said I'm gonna go back to the hotel, and I left, but it's in like this old city, and it's like all these little paths and roads with everything closed at that time of day. I got confused, and I like went the wrong way to leave, and when I started feeling like I was going the wrong way, like I feel like this is wrong, like I'm not sure. And then I could see like you're inside, like so I could see the outside, like the light to outside. So I was like, let me just get outside. If I get to the street, maybe I'll be okay. And as I'm walking, I start seeing these Israeli flags. I'm just seeing Israeli flags everywhere. I'm like, uh-oh, I'm in the wrong area. I was like, I think I'm in the wrong area because this ain't, I ain't never seen Israeli flags like this before, right? So I'm walking, and then most stuff was closed, but a few things started opening up. So like there was people out. Every single person that I passed. Every person. Now I'm in the Jew area, and it's always Israeli, was speaking English with a New York accent. Everybody. Everybody. I kid you not, I'm not even exaggerating. Like, I was like, what? I was like, oh my God. This is just madness.
Yeah.
It's just madness. Like, it's disgusting. And you will like, so it's like that trip was a lot. That trip was a lot. Like, you know, the spiritual part is, you know, mind blowing, heart blowing, all of that. But then it's also the same with like what's happening to the people there, and what you have to just go somewhere where you really are like, you know, like we hear about the history before when people like had segregation and all this stuff.
Jim Crow and all that.
And we hear about that and we feel a way about it, but like we don't. It's like, for me, I don't know for you, but like as a kid, if a white person would get smart with me, I would be like, I'm gonna look good. Like I would fight them over like saying something to me. Like I just had this rage from everything that's happening about people. Like I just, and of course growing up the way I did, like these were discussions that we talked about. Like it was conversation. Like I had a lot of education about what's happened, you know? Mm-hmm. And then of course, coming from people who had certain kind of lifestyles from their past, like I know what that's like. My father spent most of his young life in prison, like from foreign schools on up, you know? And so before he accepted Islam, that was his life. And, you know, my heart like breaks about that stuff. Like I have, like my heart just really breaks about those things. And just the reality that I live, which is one where I have often thought about like, what would happen if I just got locked up for something that I didn't even do? They could just do that to me, and I could just, I could be there's people like that all up in those prisons. They didn't do nothing, but they in it. And I'll be thinking like, what would I be like in prison? Like I'll be like having all kind of thoughts about all this stuff. Like this is like the generational trauma that we have, like, or that we can have. Maybe I'm extra sensitive, maybe I'm different. I don't know. Maybe people are gonna say like, I never thought about anything like that. But this is the kind of stuff that I've thought about. And so being there and just, it's almost like you're going back to like you're in the movie of the past, like where it's like this overt segregation and you're seeing this wall like going through the city, and it's like, oh, that's the side where the Palestinians live, this is the side where the Israelis, the settlers live. And everything is different. On this side everything is good, on this side everything is old, bad, and falling apart and all that. And you know, as we got into the country, we were on a bus, and I was like, oh, I want to sit in the front because I just wanted to see out the front window. And I had no thought in my mind like that the soldiers would want to get on our bus. And then I didn't even think about like all the check what was going to happen. Like they got on our bus like several times, like just pointing guns right in our face because I was in the front seat. I was the one that was really getting the gun pointed in my face because I was right there. And you know, it's I keep thinking about like what I was feeling at that time where you just had those, I don't know the professional name machine guns like at your face, right? And I'm like over and over again because they got on our bus I think about 5 times. Like, wow. Different points before we got to our hotel. So like I don't remember feeling afraid. I just remember feeling like enraged, you know, like just feeling enraged but not afraid. And I was wondering like what that was, like why I wouldn't be afraid because they couldn't do anything. Like you know these psychos wouldn't do. Like at one point they made us get off the bus and walk through with all of our luggage and take it somewhere far over there to walk through a checkpoint that you walk through because they have like on the road checkpoints. And then they have checkpoints that people walk through. So they made us go with all of our luggage to where it's just weird. Like as soon as we got off the bus, it started raining and hailing.
Oh, wow.
And we were like, it's just so weird. Like, and one of the people were like, how can they do this when we have a infant? Because one of them was an infant in the group. And they're like, how can they do this to him? So we have an infant. I'm like, these people are literally like shooting babies in the face.
For real.
They don't care
They
nothing
have
about
no
rain
care.
on. This is light work, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like it was just so much stuff. Like so much stuff. Like so much disconnect about a lot of things. And even like some people on the trip that just wanted to like totally be there for the spiritual experience. They were just like, I'm spending the night in masjid every day. I ain't even going on no trips. And there were some people that was like trying to do all the things, you know? And some people that were like the young couple, they were on a honeymoon. Like it was like all this weird stuff that was going on.
Wow.
Like it's like this is our honeymoon trip to go visit our aunts. You know, like they were that was their main objective. And other people, we had our thing. Like we wanted to see the Black Muslims and we wanted to do all this stuff. Like it just was, yeah, like it was a very, very interesting experience. I mean, I really want to tell this whole story another time, so I'm not gonna go into it, but like it was just so
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I went, and you know, for me it was just like same thing as they say when you go on. I mean, this is our third holiest site, so it's the same thing. Like if you have an invitation, you have to accept it. Like you can't not go, you know.
Mhm.
And also the way things are, I really feel blessed because who knows what they'll do there, how long we can hold them back from that place, you know.
Yeah.
And so from destroying it or doing something insane. So Allah allowed me to be able to see it in all its glory.
Allahu Akbar.
I just told myself, you never know, like it may not be another opportunity to see it in that way,
Yeah.
as beautiful and whole like it is now, you know, like and so alhamdulillah, like I was able to do it. It was enlightening on so many levels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do think I'm changed. It took me a long time. I got really sick when I came back. I was sick for 2 months after I came back. I couldn't even barely leave the house.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if that's from just, I'm really allergic to cigarette smoke and they smoke like crazy over there.
Oh,
Like,
wow. Wow.
so like if you're like at the hotel and checking in, they're like, yeah, so what's your last name? Like what the hell? Like people just smoking like everywhere. No smoking. And so I was just like dying. Like I was just inhaling smoke like everywhere. And I was like, oh my God. I was only blessed that it was Ramadan because at least during the day you didn't get it. But at night, as soon as it's time to break the fast, it was like, like so everybody's smoking all over the place. And I got really sick from that because I'm really allergic and I get sick when I'm around cigarette smoke. So I got very sick, but I do think like my recovery had a lot to do with like, yes, I was physically sick, but I think the emotional toll that the trip took also must have had something to do with it. Because I just stayed sick. I just was not getting better. Like, and it was just like nothing was helping. Like I just wasn't getting better. It took me a full 2 months to get better. So,
Mm.
you know, I really had to cleanse from that trip.
Yeah. Yeah. Man. Well, thank you, my sister, for sharing your thoughts and your story and inspirational work that you're doing with the Black Muslim now. And conversation like these remind us of the importance of representation, unity, and intentional storytelling in shaping our communities and how we are seen and understood. Thank you for coming on our platform once again.
Amplifying the work that we're doing, it means a lot. These are the type of things that we need to do for each other, to support each other and grow each other's work. And so I really appreciate you. May Allah bless you and all the work that you're doing.
I mean, and where can we find on the social media platform?
We are at Black Muslim now across all social media platforms. And again, if you want to sign up for the now, it's 833-883-0013. It just text the word join and you'll receive a message back saying that you have joined. But please follow us on all socials and hope to have you as a part of our community.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.